Today, I'm gonna do some myth busting about color grading. First, we're gonna look at them on the whiteboard. We're gonna look at the myths on the whiteboard and I'll propose my argument. After that, we'll switch over to DaVinci and I'll show you practically what I mean. If you give me 15 minutes of your time, I promise that your color grading will skyrocket after this video. If you don't know me, I'm Giuseppe. I started off as a broke videographer, but now I am a remote colorist. Now, if you don't know what a colorist is basically somebody that gets hired just to color grade. So you know that you can trust me because my only job is to become good at color grading because this is what people pay me to do. Okay, now let's begin. So the first thing that I dislike about the common advice that is given on YouTube, especially by almost everybody, is that the image should pop. The image should pop usually means that the image should have contrast and saturation. This is basically it. When these people are talking about that, they're talking about contrast and saturation, and not just luma contrast. They're talking about color contrast. So this ties with split toning, and we're going to talk about it later. So the reason I dislike and I disagree completely with this advice is that not everything needs to look the same way. Alright, if you're familiar with the channel, if you already watched my videos, you know that we need to think about the video's purpose, okay? What are you doing? Why does the image need to look a certain way? What does it need to convey? What does the audience need to feel, okay? Now, the thing is that when you always try to make things pop, you essentially start to color grade your footage in the same way, with the same technique, and this is wrong. I'll explain to you why. So I need to let you in on a little secret. So there are two types of people. There's the preset pirate, and then there's the color king. Now, you don't know this, but all that you've learned on color grading, you've learned from preset pirates. And preset pirates are the guys on YouTube that will tell you to apply a lot. They'll tell you to, I don't know, do orange and teal. You see them applying a tint to their footage. You'll see them up their contrast, lower exposure, up saturation, do this, image pop, do film print emulation, apply glow, apply halation. You know what I'm talking about, okay? All these terms, I know that you know them because you know preset pirates, and I know them too. Like when I wanted to become a colorist, I fell into their trap. Now, a preset pirate, let's keep this on whiteboard. A preset pirate goes about grading like this. So they usually have the same strategy for all their footage, whatever they're working on, and they apply the same techniques over and over and over again. Let's get a beautiful analogy going. So if you're a doctor, okay, let's say you're a doctor. Now, my boys already know this if they've been following the channel. Now, you're a doctor, right? So you have 10 ill patients. Now, would you be a smart doctor if you gave all these 10 ill patients the same medicine? Well, just maybe, one of them recovers. But now, what happens to the other 9? Well, now you've got, guess what? 9 bodies on the floor, you fool. Because you killed them. Because it wasn't the right medicine for all of them. Oh, but it worked on the patients, so it must be right for all of them, right? Wrong. You're wrong. You're viewing things wrong, and that's what these people teach you to do. So a smart doctor would actually have a method of understanding his patients and actually understanding what is it that they need, okay? That's what a color king does for his videos. So you need to learn from color kings. A color king knows that the most important thing that he can have it's his strategy. Okay? This is what you want to be going after, right? So that's why I don't like the advice of, oh, make your image pop. It's such common, like it's a common phrase that it's become like, it doesn't mean anything and you can't apply this to anything. This is from a video that I color graded live in one of my videos. Okay? It should be on my channel by now. Now, do you see how unassuming and kind of low contrast this is? Now, if I went ahead, let's say that this is from a commercial about something and it needs to be authentic and this and that. If I went ahead and I just went like this, right? So contrast like this should go like this, then saturation, this needs to go like this, more saturation, more this, maybe this is too much. Okay, let's give Mr. Guru a chance. Then I want orange and teal, then I want this. I've just ruined everything. This might look good for another video. I mean, if this was a music video, which it is, this might be okay. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying it might be decent. Okay, this doesn't even look that good. But I've actually ruined the color grade that I had done initially. Because if we take it at face value, like if we actually pretend this is for a commercial, I would never grade a commercial like this with this approach. I love it the way it is right here. Now, you can have flat looks, you can have contrast looks, you know, when you have more contrast, but I don't want you to try to make your image pop no matter what, because then you're operating like a preset pirate, and I don't want you doing that. Now, the second thing, this is actually very interesting, is that the image, like grading, requires log. Now, I disagree with the fact that grading requires log, because I can tell you from first-hand experience that I have really color graded Rec 709 videos, and I'm not talking just about some bullshit video. No, I'm talking about color grading Rec 709, so no log, like they looked normal already. Color grading normalized short films, and I have done it, and they look beautiful. So I don't agree with this thing. I mean, if you're so scared of log, don't be the guy that is also afraid of color grading. You can still shoot Rec 709 and still color grade your footage. You can absolutely do that. I teach that in my online school, top link in the description. Now, this ties in very well with the next piece of advice that people give on YouTube and that I hate. I hate because they're ignorant. Basically, nobody knows what they're talking about. And it is that 8-bit can't be shot in log and then graded. I hate this advice because a lot of beginners like you actually have 8-bit cameras maybe and are scared to shoot log and are scared to learn color grading because they are scared of what 8-bit log looks like because they're afraid of banding, they're afraid of everything. Okay, but I'm actually here to tell you that the bulk of my experience in color grading came from a time where I was just a videographer. Okay, I've told you, like, I was a videographer and then I wanted to become a colorist, right? But before becoming a colorist, I was just a videographer. So it was just this. Now, the bulk of my experience, do you know what I built it on? I recorded my videos and I graded them on a Sony Alpha 6400. This is what I used to work on. In this camera, I mean, this is a very popular camera. I had like the 16mm Sigma lens, OG setup. The ones that know this setup, they're OGs. So this camera had the capability of shooting S-Log3, so log profile, but it didn't shoot 10-bit. It only shot 8-bit. And I, like, do you know what the popular advice was back then in, this was back in 2020? It was, oh, don't shoot S-Log3 because it'll break as soon as you import it into your Premiere Pro. As soon as you do anything to it, it'll just explode, right? It'll do this, it'll do that. And that's a fucking lie. Like, I have videos on this channel where I color grade 8-bit footage. And I'm like, I am rooting for you. I'm like, hey, you don't need to be scared of anything, man. If you grade the way I teach you to grade, you can actually do way more than you think you can to your 8-bit footage. I hate this advice. People are so afraid because they are so ignorant. Okay, you can do way more than you can imagine to 8-bit footage. You just need to know how to go about it. Of course, you have your limits. I'm not saying you don't have limits with 8-bit, but it can be worked on way more than you think. I mean, when I actually purchased, I'm going to tell you this story. So I was like, I wanted to purchase a 10-bit capable camera, okay? So I wanted that because I wanted to color grade my own videos. I wanted them to be more professional looking, right? Because I was like, oh, 8-bit, it's holding me back. Oh, it's do this, do that. When I got the 10-bit camera, I did a test. I shot the same clip, first in 8-bit, second in 10-bit. Do you know that I did not notice a difference? After grading, I did not notice a difference. And it was 422 10-bit against 420 8-bit. I did not notice a fucking difference. Now, granted, if you really do a push grade, yeah, 10-bit 422, of course, clear winner. But what do I want to say? I want to say that 10-bit is overhyped as fuck. And you don't need to be crying about your 8-bit log. You can still shoot 8-bit like a lot of people do. And if your camera can't even shoot log, as I told you before, I don't want you to stay away from grading because you can still grade. That's just the truth. Okay, people are just ignorant. Again, remember, you're learning from these guys, okay? They don't know any better. And the reason, like, I'm actually going to give you a reason. So the reason is this. So you need to realize that color grading is fairly new. Like, you might be asking, okay, this Giuseppe guy, like, he sounds sincere and he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But actually, like, in what way, like, why do people say the wrong things? Like, why does he know all the stuff and why don't people know all the stuff? Glad you asked. Great point. Great question. And here's the answer. So you need to realize that grading is fairly new. Okay, what this means is that a lot of the advice that is circulating online, first, there are a few places to learn color grading. You need to learn manuals, read books, read this. So it's kind of boring, right? Second, these people, they are stuck at the superficial level of color grading. That's why they tell you to do the same thing, image pop, then do this, and orange and teal, and then your footage should look good. And then it doesn't look good, right? So the thing you want to do is this. you want to realize that you're learning from preset pirates and stop listening to them. Just go unsubscribe from them all, man. Because YouTube is filled with people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Even the ones that look like they're professionals. Like, go watch the videos on my channel. I make such logical, rational, clear points that you'll be like, holy shit, he's right. I'm changing lives over here, man. All right, so let's keep going. So you need to know this. Skin tones shouldn't be always looking the same way. I guess you've seen the advice that skin tones need to be proper, right? And I think you want your skin to look proper like the skin should look like. That's actually proper advice. The skin should look proper. But what these people don't tell you is that, like, what does proper mean in our context? Well, I mean, if we're doing a commercial and it needs to look clean and authentic and realistic, grounded in reality, yeah, of course. I mean, the skin should look what it looked when we shot it, right? What the eye would expect to see. It makes sense. It's proper in that context. Like, see how we're applying the strategy? Do you remember we talked about the strategy? Like, don't grade in a one-dimensional way, because the preset pirates are just teaching you how to grade in a one-dimensional way. You don't want to do that. Don't fall into their traps. Listen to this type of color grading. Now, when we talk about context and proper and this and that, I'm going to ask you, if I pointed a blue RGB light at your face, which color would your face be? What would my eyes see? You'd be blue, right? So what is happening exactly? Why do these people tell you that the skin always needs to look a certain color when you intrinsically know that different types of illuminants, that's what we call them, illuminants, change the skin's hue? Well, because they don't know any better. I just told you, they don't know what they're talking about. Let's say you have a cold room, a cold grade. It makes sense to have skin that is not as saturated as a warm grade. Maybe it looks more pale. Maybe it looks more magenta. It makes sense. Let's say that you have a grade where the illuminant is fucking yellow. Well, it makes sense for the skin to go more towards yellow. I'm not saying it needs to be full-blown yellow. I'm just saying if it goes a bit towards that hue, it makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna give you a practical example. So I'll give you this practical example. I showed this in another video of mine, but let's go over it again. So do you see, like, people usually tell you, so if you know how to read scopes, if you're a beginner, just remember, if this is too complex, stop link in the description, takes you to my online school where I teach everything and I teach it the proper way, okay? This is a grade that I did some time ago for a client of mine, and so I was asked to have a gritty look, okay? Need it to look dirty, need it to look like this. So that's why we have this kind of like contrasty, low exposure vibe going, heavy shadows, heavy this. We've got grain, it looks all this. We have some teal, some green in the shadows. That's why it looks the way it does. You see, like, I have a clear strategy behind the way I'm grading this piece, okay? Now, the thing is this. If you know how to read your scopes, on your vector scope, you know that you can enable show skin tone indicator. And this is a great feature. Like, when you're going to get like really accurate skin tones, you know that this thin line tells you where the skin should sit. Now, I'm going to ask you, do you think this skin sits right here? Do you think it does? Let's see for ourselves. So if I go at the end of my node tree and we select the skin, this is where my skin sits. It steers away from this line. But when you look at the grade, this looks so proper and so cohesive. It looks right. What would happen if the skin changed, you might ask? Well, that's a great question. So let's try to change it. Now, let's try to really follow the advice that these guys are giving you. So if we try to go ahead and change it with my hue versus hue, so this just makes the yellow turn into red, okay? If we try to change it, the whole grade falls apart. Like, do you see how this sucks? This sucks. Do you see how I hate the way it looks? And we just lost everything. This is way more pleasant to look at. Do you see that? So the way your skin looks depends on your context. Like, this is proper in my context because it makes sense. To my brain, it makes sense that if this is the room, let's call it room, this is where they are, and this is the way it's lit because I've done a good job at grading this image, it makes sense that the skin looks this way. Do you understand the depth of the advice that I'm giving to you today? So it makes total sense for it to look this way. Again, skin tones being proper, it's completely dependent on the context that you give it. And last but not least comes split toning. I hate this. I hate this because this is ruining a generation of colorists. So split toning is when you want to have, let's say, one color going in one direction and one color going in another direction. It could be this, could be this, Could be whatever, okay? It's when you apply teal and orange, it's when you do this, it's when you do that. And I hate the myth that this is what makes your image look good. This is not what makes your image look good, okay? Usually, why do I say that? Usually, how do you achieve split toning? Well, you take your lift, gamma, gain in DaVinci. You go like this, and you go down on your lift, so this is where you position your lift, and you go up on your gain. What does this get you? Fucking teal and orange and teal, whatever. This is what it gets you, and this does not look good. Let's try to get that on my footage. So you will notice the first thing that I did to this clip is actually give it this greenish, cyanish tint right here, where I had my tint node. This is something that, again, I teach in my online color grading school. Go apply right now for a discount. You're still in time. This is still early access. You will get a huge discount. You can literally work on this same footage. It's fucking huge, huge value. You won't regret it. So when I apply a tint, and I want to do split toning, like these people will teach you that applying a tint, first of all, is okay only if you balance it with your gamma and gain, okay? So these people teach you, let's disable this, I'll make a new node, copy this. So these people will teach you to do exactly this. So you want to go like this, okay? You get the image to be looking like this, and this is still good. This still looks good. Then you want to balance the image. And you might be, Giuseppe, like, what's the problem? Like, it's looking similar to what you had before. And I'm like, it kind of looks similar, but you will encounter problems. When you go about split toning this way, what you're doing, watch my vector scope. What you're doing, if you keep going this way, you will eventually run into color compression problems. What does that mean? It means that every color, the more you push these knobs, the more every color becomes one or the other. Watch me. Do you see how this line is getting very thin and now everything is becoming one or the other? Like we're losing. Let me just get one going. Like we lost a bunch of color variation that we had before. And now that we tried to inject this split toning, now it looks trash. Now you might be, okay, but I mean, the first example, it looks proper. I mean, can't you just leave it at that? It's totally a proper question to ask. And I want to say, like this example right here, we have almost inherent color separation because it's really warm right here. If we just apply a cool tint in the shadows, we get this look, okay? Because the cool tint in the shadows kind of extends to the highlights, to the midtones as well. So it does us a favor and it cools off the shadows. They look all gritty and blah, blah, blah. The grade is beautiful. It's gorgeous. So it works. Okay. But I'm me. I know how to make things work. If you had a different type of image that didn't have this inherent color contrast and you actually tried to go like, oh, let's try this. And then we push it back and then this, you're actually ruining your footage. Okay. That's why I don't like split toning as a one-trick pony, basically. It's not that I particularly dislike all of these. Like this, wrong, this, wrong, this, wrong. Okay, these three, they're wrong. They're plainly wrong. Now, it's not that I also say that these two are inherently wrong, is that the way they're sold to beginners, that's what is wrong. That's what will make you question yourself and will make you fall into Flatline Fred's trap. Now, you might be asking, whoa, who's this guy? Who's Flatline Fred? Well, glad you asked. Flatline Fred, let's type this out. Flatline Fred, this is the last tip I'll give you in this video. Flatline Fred is the guy you meet every time your grade doesn't work. Grade doesn't work. So you try grading more and your grade doesn't work. So you repeat, 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 and he's got you into this spiral where you're just questioning yourself and you're like, where did I go wrong? This is where he gets you. So Flatline Fred is the voice that basically every one of us hears when we start to doubt ourselves and we think that that what our video is lacking is more contrast, more saturation, more teal and orange. I want more of that. That's actually a lie. When you have that stage of thought, like when you start thinking about it that way, you are already into Fred's trap. And that's what I want you to stay out of. How do you do that practically? Like, what is the solution? You need to listen to me because I'll teach you how to become a color king. Okay, this is what you have always been looking for. You finally found the right place. You see that I do no bullshit color grading advice. You see this in front of your eyes. You see that this is real, that I have real grades, real examples, that they look proper, that they look beautiful, that I know what I'm talking about. You see this for yourself. Now, if you're ready, go apply below. Top link in the description takes you to the only place where you need to learn color grading. God bless you.